Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had such a great time this last weekend. We were in Princeton, Minnesota at Eternity Church. Good crowds. People were so hungry. Neat to see people excited about the coming of the Lord. It's amazing that it seems like every church after church after church this last year, a growing excitement about the coming of the Lord, especially and specifically after what happened on October 7th. Man, what a horrendous thing that's still been going on. So we're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, and specifically the gathering of nations for the Ezekiel 38 war, because that seems like that happens just after the rapture. And because the second coming has tons of signs. I think in our book is it about 79 or 80. But when it comes to the rapture, there are no signs for the rapture. So we just know we're at the end of the church age. Man, when you got Jerusalem won back and Israel made a nation, those are the two big ones. So we know we're there. And when you see all these specific things happening that were prophesied 2,700 years ago and 2,000 years ago, you're like, wow, this is remarkable, and we're so blessed to watch it play out right in front of our eyes. I heard people say, I wish we were in Bible days. You're in Bible days right now. Why do we get into the coming of the Lord? I hear people say, well, and one famous evangelist said, Joe, if you preach on the coming of the Lord, you scare everybody's hopes up. I said, that's exactly right. And why would we get into the coming of the Lord? Well, you live differently if you thought he was coming tomorrow. You'd be kinder, you'd be sweeter, I would hope you'd want to get along with people more, and you'd be more of a soul winner if you knew he was coming tomorrow. So the thought pattern about the coming of the Lord is not an escape theology, it's a hustle theology. So as we look at these things that are happening around Israel, every week it seems like more and more keeps happening, and it's just remarkable. So we go back to what happened, the war that started October 7th. Just hearing that, I said it a couple weeks ago, the anti-Semitism that's grown to such absolute freakish rates to the point of I never dreamed I would see it this blatant and this horrible. And man, it's everywhere. People hate Israel. The visible manifestation of God's covenant. Lucifer wants to exterminate that and extinguish it. But he can't do it. We win. Israel wins. The Lord wins. So let's pick up on what's happened there right now in the beginning of trying to have a hostage deal. A couple of days ago, they said it'd be a day or two. Now they said another day or two. Looks like in a day or so, women and children will be released. The only problem with that is they're agreeing to not being able to use their drones to basically see what Hamas is doing. So, of course, for 6 hours a day, of course Hamas would agree to that so that they can rearm and hide their missiles and everything everywhere so Israel can't get them. I watched the video yesterday of how the Israeli soldiers are looking at their video before they drop their bombs, and how they see children, they see a civilian, they try not to do anything, and they stop the event right there, and it's so cautious, and they get blamed for just blowing up Israel. It's hilarious, not hilarious, but it's hideous that everyone blames Israel. I like Putin comes out, Russia's president comes out this week and says, well, America is responsible for Hamas attacking Israel because it was their failed Middle East policies. This is Putin. And you had Iran today call for Russia's more involvement in the peace deal with Hamas. So, see, Russia's going to come down on Israel with Turkey and with Iran. So Iran keeps continuing to do crazy stuff. I mean, the leader came out yesterday saying, this is not over. We're going to intensify the fighting. It's going to take off in Lebanon. Another report came out saying the Hezbollah was going to fire more. The Hezbollah fired 2 missiles yesterday, hit right in Israel, hit one of Israel's army bases and blew up a couple of buildings, but there were no injuries. Pretty wild. I mean, you even have nature involved in all this. You had the border towns around Gaza fill up with brand new butterflies all over the place. Hundreds and thousands of butterflies, literally showing new life in those communities that were attacked by Hamas. But you have all the things happening. You have the Houthi rebels from Yemen firing more missiles. Gaza still firing missiles. I mean, my indicators are going off on my phone from the Jerusalem Post. Siren after siren after siren. That's continuing to happen, along with Israel bombarding them. All this pressure on Israel. Don't hurt women and children. Don't hurt civilians. Well, you remember in World War II, America had to bomb Japan. We did one nuclear weapon. Think of all the innocent people that got killed in that first nuclear weapon. But you know what? Japan was so hard-headed, they didn't surrender. We had to hit them with another nuclear weapon. You think about all the women and children and innocent people that got killed then, but it took something that drastic to send a message to Japan that America's not going to mess around. Well, you can't negotiate with Hamas. One of the negotiators that was talking on the TV this morning on Fox, he said it seemed like I was talking to an animal. When you're going to burn children and shoot children in front of their parents, you've got to be dealt with accordingly. So You've got Iran touting their new hypersonic missiles again. And here, I like that the Israeli Defense Force says, well, they haven't got the first hypersonic one to work yet, so we'll see if the second one will work. And then Israel came out with a brand new laser weaponry. Not just, they have several layers of air defense. They've got the Iron Dome, they've got the David slingshot, then they have the Arrow 3. They have a brand new laser technology that will take missiles right out of the air. They're using it in the Negev desert right now, so they're going to bring that in. You have America talking about setting up more land-based missile sites over in the Pacific region to kind of keep China from going into Taiwan. That's actually happening right now with more soldiers. You got more equipment coming from America into Israel and the border areas around Israel to protect Israel. So a lot of stuff is happening. I am intrigued to hear the tone of Turkey, hear the tone of Iran. Iran's tone right now is just what we talked about last week. They believe, their doctrine is them attacking Israel will bring their Messiah on the scene. So you're dealing with a whole group of people that their thought pattern is to wipe out Israel and America. It's not just Israel. Israel's Satan and America's the great Satan. Another leader in Iran came out today saying it won't be long and we'll be getting America. I saw the video come down. It had American flag with huge bombs on it saying that we'll attack America next. So you've got Israel basically having to defend its life all over the Middle East. And I don't have time to get into all the floods that keep happening, all the nature things that keep happening, the earthquakes that are in Iceland that are getting ready for a volcanic eruption. So you got what we talked about last week. You got those microbursts on the sun. So you got nature freaking out. You got nations yielding to Lucifer around Israel, freaking out, vowing to do more. You had Iran. It seized a cargo ship in the northern part of the Red Sea. Iran did, and Israel rebuked them. America rebuked them. And so you've got, on every front around Israel, you've got what literally is behind the scenes coming to the forefront. Let's attack Israel. Let's completely wipe Israel off the map. Now, I believe it's going to get worse and worse. Maybe it'll settle down for a little bit when some hostages are released, but I believe it's going to get worse and worse so that someone's going to have to come in from the outside. If we talked about all the things that even our government's doing right now, that is absolutely bizarre. We found out this week that we've been buying oil going around sanctions from Russia. You got a couple more things happening with Russia saying that they want to be more involved, along with Iran calling for them to be involved. So that vortex of Iran, Turkey, and Syria and Russia right now coming to the forefront, that's so Ezekiel 38. Because the Bible says just after the rapture, those nations come down and attack Israel, and God wipes out 82% of Russia. 5/6 of them, the Bible says, will be pushed back. The Bible says so that the heathen may know that he is God. So in this dispensation, God hasn't intervened for Israel, but the moment the church is taken off the earth. Remember, Gabriel told Daniel, God's given you guys another 490 years. Well, Jesus came after 483. So God owes them 7 years of old covenant time. That's the 7-year tribulation, a time of Jacob's trouble. So you see Israel troubled so much right now, you're getting ready to have Jacob's trouble start, and that's the tribulation period. So all the pieces are coming together for that. So the Lord told us to lift up our heads, our redemption draws nigh. We'll be caught up. But the amazing thing is he wants you excited, he wants you expectant, he wants you joyful. All of this information, there's nothing to be afraid about, is he loves you so much. He gave us a heads up so when we saw these things, we would rejoice, not be sad or freaked out. It is horrible for the world and horrible for what's going to be happening to the world. But when it comes to the church, there is no bad news. So how wild that we're set up to watch this stuff play out right in front of our eyes. But we always go back to the word. Number one, Israel made a nation. Number two, Jerusalem won back. So Jesus said the generation that sees those two events won't pass away till all is fulfilled. Then you got the Hebrew language restored. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the EDU, the revival of the Roman Empire. You have the Temple Mount Institute. You had foxes show up on the Temple Mount. You had the ritual baths around the Temple Mount fill up with water. You had the Dead Sea start having fish in it this last year. You had last fall, the Dead Sea turned blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was on the Day of Atonement. I mean, that's radical. You have the archway for Baal worship got rebuilt in Palmyra, Syria. That's where the Tower of Babel was. Russia rebuilt that archway for Baal worship. The Talmud says that's the last sign you'll see before the Messiah comes. But you have sign after sign after sign. You got men will be lovers themselves. You got 172 different species of predatory birds start showing up in the land. So you got the cleanup crew for the Ezekiel 38 war. Then you got the cleanup crew for the Battle of Armageddon. So you even have the Euphrates running dry right now because the Bible says the kings of the east will come across that river to attack Israel. Sign after sign after sign after sign. You have water coming out of a rock in Petra, where the Jews will go midway through the trib for safety. So remarkable, the different things that are happening all over the world. We could get into all of them, but once we go from that, you go to signals. The Bible said the planets would declare the glory of God. So, man, the planets are for signals for us. You had blood red moons a few years ago on Passover and Tabernacles, 4 in a row. NASA calls that a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 in a row like that? 1967 when Jerusalem was won back. 1948 when Israel was made a nation. 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So amazing that you have significant things happening with the nation of Israel with blood moons. Crazy cool. But then you have the Bethlehem star, Jupiter, Regulus, Venus came together at the birth of Jesus. The constellation was Virgo. This last year it happened again, the first time in 2,000 years. The constellation was Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. So we're watching nations get in place, planets get in place, birds get in place, Russia going into the Ukraine, going into Crimea. You have fish getting into position, foxes getting into position, butterflies yesterday getting into position in the land of Israel. All these different things set up for the coming of the Lord. So what do? We help our local church, help our local pastor. We're all in. We're engaged. We're in. Just like the last part of a football game. You watch the clock counting down, and you hustle. This is the season that we're about to see the King. We'll come back next week and look at the things that have happened around Israel. There probably will be a hostage exchange or a hostage swap or a hostage release. It'll be intriguing to see how that plays out. And if we see Lebanon have Hezbollah fire more than a few missiles. So Israel's had to retaliate a few times, so things could get really volatile really easy, or it might calm down for a while and then kick back up again. So have a blessed, wonderful week. If you live in the United States, have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you have fun celebrating with your family. Have an awesome, wonderful time together, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.